All right, everybody, it's 7:30. I want to welcome everybody to our April City Council meeting. We are going to get started, so I'm going to call the meeting to order. As you can tell, we have a lot of Boy Scouts here tonight, and they're from Boy Scout Troop 513, and a couple of them are actually going to come up and they're going to lead our Pledge of Allegiance tonight. And so in a minute, I'm going to ask y'all to stand. And then if you could please continue to stand after that, we'll do our normal invocation, and Councilmember Perkle is going to do that for us this evening. So I am going to call the young men from Boy Scout Troop 513 to come on up to the microphone right there. And we're so thankful for y'all. We appreciate you being here tonight, but we also appreciate all the great things that you do in our community. And thank you for being here. All right, if everybody could stand.
Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. God salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Two. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Purple.
Would you pray with me? Lord, thank you for the opportunity you've given us to be here tonight, for the many blessings, for life, and for the chance to live here and in such a community you've blessed in such a great way. Thank you for everyone that's come out tonight. Please be with those that couldn't be here. Also, I just want to thank you again for this time of year you've given us, the Easter season, as we move through into spring, planting and the growth and beauty that's around us. Please send us some rain to help all of that spring forth and show us your beauty. Help us as we make decisions tonight that will make them in the best interest of the citizens of the community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen on all of that, and especially the rain, because we do need the rain. In Troop 513, I want to thank y'all again for coming here and leading the pledge, and stay around for as long as you want to. With the dads, would y'all like to find a place to sit? Are y'all good standing? Okay. We just appreciate y'all. Thanks for leading these young men. All right, so we are going to move on, and the first order of business is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Have a motion from Mr. Perkle. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Avery. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. We just table it when we get there. All right, next up is approval of the minutes, and that would be for the council meeting for March the 9th and the work session for March the 2nd. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
May I make a motion to approve the minutes from the March 9th and the March 2nd work session and council meeting?
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Piovison. All those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Good deal. Next, we'll move on to awards, presentations, and proclamations. And I do not have the Arbor Day proclamation in front of me, so I'm not going to read it, but I'm just going to explain what it is. This is something that we do every year. We have a Tree City designation as a community, and the proclamation adoption each year is part of that Tree City designation process. We are also doing an Arbor Day 5K, which is something new for us. And in my report, because I don't have it in front of me now, I will let y'all know when it's going to be, but I have signed up for it, and I hope if you're a runner that you will sign up for that as well. Next, we're going to move on to reports, and I'll start with the City Attorney, Mr. Hartley. Do you have a report today?
No, Mayor, no report.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hartley. Next, we'll move on to the council reports, and I will start with Mr. Perkle first.
Thank you, Mayor. No report.
No report from Mr. Perkle. Mr. Hicks.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll be brief. Just wanted to bring acknowledgement to the spring break week. Definitely it was great to see the kids out and playing and utilizing all of our facilities, parks. We also went into our third year this year, partnering with the District Attorney's Office, what they call a Teen Summit. And really what that is, they approached the city about 3 years ago to ask if we would host various kids, middle school and high school kids from around Gwinnett County that actually go through the District Attorney's program. And we've been partnering with them every year. They bring in different people to educate them on various things. But in addition to that, they educate the parents on mental health, opioid use, as well as other things, educating the parents on to be aware of. So it's a great partnership. This year was about 140 middle school and high school students that was in attendance this year. And all their parents were here as well. Again, I had a chance and privilege to sit and talk to them. So many of those kids had never been to Sugar Hill, the parents as well, and they were very complimentary of the city, and that was a great thing. So that was that. And then secondly, I know the Youth Council will talk about the Student Success Week that they had, which was an amazing, amazing week. So I'm not going to steer their thunder and allow them to go through that. But other than that, I just want to make sure we thank our facilities and parks guys for all the hard work that they're about to be upon in regards to the debris pickup and all of that. And then don't forget, May, the first week of May will be the bulk pickup for garbage. So thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hicks. Mr. Page, you're up next.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll also be brief. This past month, we've had the privilege, myself and Councilmember Hicks and Mayor Hembry had the privilege of attending the North Gwinnett High School Foundation Breakfast. So we bring back just a fantastic word from that North Gwinnett board and the great works that our city have been doing to support our North Gwinnett High School and, of course, our cluster schools. So just want to recognize all of our citizens for supporting that foundation and all the great work that our city staff has been contributing to them, all of our council members that have poured in to our school system. So we hope that we can continue that partnership going forward. With that, Mayor, I'll end my report.
Thank you, Mr. Page. Ms. P. Ogerson.
Thank you, Mayor. I, too, want to send a big congratulations to our our youth council on their Student Success Week. It was wonderful to see everything come to light. Thank you for allowing me to MC your talent show. I hope I did an okay job. My comedic efforts were a little rough, so thank you. And for any of our residents that are here today, I wanted to also thank you. Whether you are pro an initiative or not pro of an initiative, I really appreciate all of your feedback. Anytime you come and provide us with insight, or anytime you provide us with just visibility into how you're thinking, it really allows us the opportunity and the guidance to really make key decisions. So I just wanted to thank all of you for being here today. Thank you, Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Ms. Avery.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to say it's great to see the Scouts here tonight. I have a special place in my heart for Scouts, and it's great to see you here. And also echo what Ms. Piovison said about our community input. Everything you say is important, and we value that input. March has been a very busy month. What I have enjoyed the most is watching the children at the new playground at Ridge Lake Park. I have talked to parents, and I'm so pleased to hear such positive comments about the playground and that they are also looking forward to the completion of the pavilion. It's a real big asset to Ridge Lake Park to have that playground there. I believe we might need to start looking at future shade options over some of the equipment. Our recent warm weather has heated up the playground structures, and it's not even summer yet. So that might be something, as we talk about improvements at Ridge Lake Park, to possibly look into. Later this month, the Players Guild will present Pride and Prejudice, and On the Stage Children's Theater will produce Legally Blonde the first weekend in May. Both of these plays will be well worth attending. They always put on great productions. Check the city calendar for exact dates and the link for ticket sales. And as I mentioned, it's always encouraging to see our residents attend our meetings. This is just one opportunity to learn what's happening in our community. News and information is on our city website and social media and available by newsletter. Involved residents, such as yourselves and people who watch the videos, who care about our city, ask questions, and offer suggestions are always welcomed. However, lately I have been hearing that not everyone knows what is really going on, especially with high-profile projects. And since not everyone is able to attend meetings or keeps up with social media or understands a rezoning or a public hearing sign, I'm going to explore that it would be a great idea to have notices of public hearings and/or pictures of upcoming projects on a poster board in the lobby of City Hall. Our city staff works very hard on proposals, projects, and events, and is proud of all the amenities we can offer our residents. So therefore, having multiple options for learning about everything that's going on is vital. Sugar Hill is growing and progressing, as is visually evident of all the construction of ongoing projects within our city limits, or as you see items on the agenda. Exploring all alternatives and ideas to keep the public informed and show transparency is extremely important. So I hope that going forward, we as a council and city staff can offer more ways to provide information that affects our residents and our community. As we grow, we progress, we understand, we know what's going on, and whatever ways we can provide that opportunity is always important. And again, thank you for being here tonight, and thank you, Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Avery, and I just want to echo the support that you made for our parks, and I hope that in the future, everybody on City Council votes for additional parks in our community. So thank you for making that comment. Just want to raise a few things with you all. I want to talk about Lanier High School's varsity baseball team. They've had a great season. They're actually number 4 in the region, and they've got a great new coach this year, great team members, actually very few seniors, some team members that are going to stay on through the next couple of years, and I'm excited about the prospects for them. They have one last non-region game Wednesday night against Central Gwinnett, and then we learn about their playoff scenarios. And so I'm going to be sharing that, and I hope that y'all will pay attention to that and come out and support really some of the best baseball that I've seen in a long time at the high school level. That Arbor Day 5K that I mentioned earlier is on April the 25th at 8 a.m., and this is one that the city is doing with a 5K provider that we have utilized a lot over the years. And if you're a runner, I hope you'll come out and do that 5K that morning at 8 a.m. Hopefully it won't be too hot. And then I wanted to remind any of you all that are parents that have students at Lanier High School or North Gwinnett High School, we have a tradition of opening up City Hall for prom pictures during the prom nights. And for Lanier High School, that is April the 25th. And for North Gwinnett, that is April the 2nd. And the doors will actually be open from 4 until 6:30. And this is a tradition that I've done with my wife, Tara, for many years. And so we will be here, and if you want to come in with your kids and take prom pictures, they're welcome to do so. I think one year we had a rainy year, and we actually had over 600 students come to City Hall and to take pictures, and it was quite the sight to see. We need rain, but I hope it doesn't rain for prom. So anyways, if you're a parent and you want to bring your kids here for pictures, please do so. The stairs at the back of City Hall, the Eagle Theater, we have mascot statues for both of our high schools in the bowl area and a water feature, and all of those make great pictures and memories for our students that have grown up in our community. And that is it for me. So next, I will recognize our city clerk for her report, Ms. Whittington.
Thank you, Mayor. The city customer service and business offices issued 11 new business licenses in the month of March. They were both commercial and home-based. Included a cleaning service, internet sales, consultant, educational and learning center. And our business list is updated and located on the city's website for review in alphabetical order if you're looking for a certain business. Passports, they issued 204 in March and 190 photos. The passports are coming up for the summer travel, so if you need to make an appointment, make one now on our website or call the main City Hall number, and someone will set you up with an appointment. And for employment, we only have one position available right now. We've filled all the vacant positions that we had, and that is for a marshal to replace an existing position where someone has resigned to go on to another city. So keep checking the website. The application form is there, and we are putting up new positions all the time when they come available. And if you have any questions, just let me know and visit our website for all those forms and opportunities. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Whittington. Next, we'll move on to our city manager for his report, Mr. Radford.
Well, thank you, Mayor. I'll point everybody to our monthly review that should be available in the back of the room. Since my voice is escaping me tonight, I will try to be as brief as I can. I want to reach out and thank Chief Smith and our marshals for their work during spring break, redeploying officers to make sure that parents and visitors and the youth enjoyed the amenities downtown. And overall, it was a non-eventful week from that standpoint, but very eventful for the youth that were able to come down, go to the movies, enjoy the plaza, just being outside with some beautiful weather, and taking advantage of the investments that you have made in our downtown. I look forward to hearing the Youth Council report. I always learn something from them. And I also, Mayor, we would need an executive session tonight. And so with that, I will conclude my report, but asked Troy if he wants to give a construction update, because we do, as you pointed out, Councilmember Avery, we do have a lot of construction going on downtown right now, and in our parks as well. Troy?
Thank you, Mr. Radford. I'll call your attention to the screen for the March Public Project Construction Update, which is available on the city's website. If you want to click on the link, you're welcome to. It's also easy to navigate the website and find it. It's under Public Works, but I encourage you to take a look at all of the projects that we have going on around the city, and ones that I will not mention necessarily tonight. I do want to highlight a few important projects to the city and our Greenway Trail, which is the Greenway Trail bridge construction over Highway 20. All of the bents have been poured and installed. All the bent caps have been installed with the exception of 6A and 6B. This is on the south side of Highway 20. The beams have been placed between bents 2, 3, and 4. And then on the north side of 20, the bent construction is noted here, and wall 2 is under construction on the top side of the image there. Significant amount of construction going on for the Greenway. This will tie in the North Greenway segment that goes up Hillcrest with that, which extends through our downtown to a couple of important parks in Sugar Hill. In addition to that, I want to highlight the Highway 20 widening project between Peachtree Industrial Boulevard and Beaufort Highway. To the east, it does include a Greenway Trail construction, which will be on the widened portion of the bridge over the railroad here. And they are essentially almost at the 60% stage. There is some paving that's going on the weekends and at night, trying to accommodate some of the lane shifts associated with that. So That one is important to Sugar Hill and important to the community at large. We've mentioned the Ridge Lake Park project. The playground is at the top of the image. The new pavilion constructed by our Public Works team is in the lower middle part of the image. The roofing material has been installed as of last week. This was an early photo from beginning of last week. So the roof is on. There are going to be a couple of other features added in addition to some power outlets and some lighting. There will be a cupola which will match the existing building that our staff will be installing. We also have some other items that are a part of this third phase of improvements at the park. So I'll mention one of those a little bit later in the meeting. We also have some improvements we're going to make to the pond in the way of a dock, so we'll enhance the fishing opportunities at the park as well. We're working on a few minor upgrades to the streetscape in the downtown. This is in front of the Holbrook area. We have had some areas where the brick pavers were settling and causing some tripping hazards, so we're correcting that. This is as of Thursday. I drove out there today. They're done, so that's pretty much in place. So we're working on that as far as improvements to the streetscape. I'm going to save the rest of my comments for a couple of agenda items later in the meeting. So with that, I conclude the construction update.
Thank you, appreciate it. All right, next we'll move on to the Youth Council for their report. Welcome.
Hi, thank you, Mayor. I'm super excited to say that we've officially finished our first Student Success Week. It was more of a success than I think any of us expected. On Monday at our study social, we had 29 attendees, and a big thank you to the Marshal's office for checking in on us to make sure that everything was okay and that we were all safe. Tuesday, we had our mental health goodie bags. We gave away 36 goodie bags. We set that up in the E-Center, so another thank you to the E-Center staff. Wednesday, we repainted our free little library over by that park on the corner, and we cleaned up that area and picked up all the litter there. A thank you to Councilmember Alvin Hicks for supplying our trash bags and our gloves. Thursday, we highlighted 6 student entrepreneurs from North Gwinnett and Lanier on our on our social media. On Friday, we had our big event, which was our talent show at the Eagle Theater, which is a big thank you to Councilmember Piovison for hosting, emceeing. A thank you to Mayor Hembry for a fantastic concerto, which he was the soloist in. It was great. And another thank you to the E-Center staff who made sure that everything was possible and everything ran smoothly. At that event, we had 176 attendees and 57 performers, I think. Saturday, we had our kind of field day in the bowl. We had 39 attendees, and on Sunday, we highlighted 13 support systems within our community. That would include city staff and youth council members. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it. And she was serious about, I did play a violin, so you should have been there because it was interesting. It is on Facebook, absolutely. All right, so that ends all of our official reports. Next, we'll move on to citizens and guest comments, and this is an opportunity for anybody in the audience that has something on their mind other than potentially a public hearing, to have the opportunity for up to 3 minutes to talk about whatever it is that you'd like to talk about. And please come on up. And as normal, just please give your name and address for the record.
Awesome. Hi, my name is Kaylee Weiland. I live at 5623 Riverside Walk, and I am here tonight because to highlight a few requests from the community that deserve a response. Our mayor stated publicly that the design review must come before the MOU because the investor needs to know that the building modification will be approved before they agree to purchase. Mayor Hembry was very clear that this community, that tonight's vote on 5033 West Broad Street is not actually a design conversation, it's a commitment, one that our community was not a part of making. parking. So I'm making the following requests and questions to be addressed. First, the architectural drawings for the project are dated February 26, 2025. The letter of intent, February 27, 2025. Our city manager is listed as the primary contact, and when you ask him when it has been started, he says he can't tell you because of executive session. Logan confirmed that it has been going on for extensive and collaborative work between the city and the investor. So collaboration has been happening for over a year, and the public has known nothing. I would like the members of our council to state exactly when they were informed of this project, not the downtown development in general, this specific site plan, these details at this site with this investor. Second, the public has been told that replacement parking includes the church parking lot across the pedestrian bridge. I am asking the city to produce tonight any formal and written agreement between the city and the DDA, or the DDA and the Sugar Hill Church, guaranteeing public parking access. Not a tradition, not a courtesy. I want to see a binding agreement. The bridge has cost us millions of dollars, and if the plan has always been to rely on the lot across from Sugar Hill Church for additional parking, the public has a right to know the existing agreements, associated costs with them, and what protections we have if the access is removed. Third, tonight, there is an agenda item for a design review on public land for a developer who has not yet purchased that land and is under no legal obligation to do so. At the work session, I believe that the city attorney confirmed that there is no timeline requirement attached to a design review approval. There are no consequences if the investor walks away. So, my final question, if this design is approved tonight and the unknown developer walks away, what prevents our city from using public funds to build it? The DDA has financing authority and the land is public. I think this council should give the public a clear statement tonight that public funds will never be used to construct this building. This is not about one building. The city has a pattern of making decisions in executive session, creating problems and solving them with public funds, and using a process scoped so narrowly that by the time the public finds out, the only thing left to do is discuss the color of bricks. We're not here to talk about bricks tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Whelan. Anybody else that'd like to take advantage of a few minutes? And if you could, just give your name and address for the record.
My name is Mark Daniels. I'm at 5872 Sycamore Ridge Drive, Sugar Hill. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'd like to address the proposed building plan for construction on the top of the downtown parking structure here in Sugar Hill and the on-street parking down Broad Street. The project raises an important question about how we use the limited space in our downtown and whether we're protecting the accessibility and the experience that make it successful. The parking deck in question was built to support residents, visitors, and local businesses. It plays a critical role in keeping downtown accessible, especially during peak hours and events. We have data that helps us understand exactly how important that is. According to the city's own parking analysis, before 5 p.m., downtown has a surplus of about 222 parking spaces. But after 5 p.m., when restaurants, events, and activity pick up, that shifts to a deficit of 49 spaces. So during the busiest hours, we're already short on parking. The City Hall parking deck consists of about 79 spaces. This proposal would eliminate 14 of them and at the same time introduce new daily demand from people who would work in that very building. So we're already reducing supply while increasing demand, exactly when parking is already constrained. This isn't just about numbers, it's also about the experience we want to give residents and visitors. Downtown is already feeling pretty dense. With the current layout and multi-story buildings on both sides of the street, it can feel tight and enclosed. Adding another 3-story structure will only intensify that feeling and make the space feel more compressed. And that's before we factor in the infrastructure issues. We're already seeing issues with vehicles going down Broad Street. On Broad Street, the on-street parking is so tight that when larger vehicles parked, drivers often have to cross into oncoming traffic just to get by. And if you're parked in one of those spots during peak usage, you often cannot see if the street is clear before you begin backing out. This is not just inconvenient, it's a safety concern. So this isn't just about adding a building, it's about how that addition affects the overall function, safety, and feel of downtown. I want to be clear, this is not an opposition to growth. I even welcome an office building in the downtown area, but there are other locations this building can go that won't remove much needed parking right where it has the most impact. Sugar Hill has a vibrant and successful downtown, but that success depends on access, safety, and comfortable environment for the people who use it. I urge you to consider the full picture and long-term effects this building would have. An existing parking deficit during peak hours, reduced capacity, increased demand, tighter streets, and a more crowded environment. Because once that space is gone, it's not easily replaced. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. All right, anybody else that wishes to take advantage of this time? Yes. If you could, just for the record, just please give your name and address. Thank you for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. My name is Jerry Oberholzer, and I live at 748 Austin Creek Drive here in Sugar Hill. First off, I want to say thank you to you, the City Council, and the city for being so supportive of our troop and our scouts. Over the last 20 years, our troop has been proudly here at Sugar Hill Church, established in 2005. So for the last 21 years, we've been right across the street. I just wanted to quickly brief y'all all on why we're here tonight. One of the requirements for the Eagle rank in scouting is to earn several merit badges that are required. You have no choice. One of those is citizenship in the community. And as part of that, the requirement is that you attend a local meeting, your city council, your school board, any type of elected board of that nature. And then after the meeting tonight, they need to choose one of the issues that was discussed where there was a difference of opinions, and then give their opinion on why they agree with one side more than the other. So we will plan to stay through your first item in new business tonight, and we will then be out of your hair. But again, thank you again tonight. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Oberholzer. All right, anybody else that wishes to take advantage of this time? Yes, sir. And just like everybody else, just please give your name and address for the record, and we appreciate you being here.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. My name is Chris Runkle. I live at 1135 Crescent Ridge. I've helped manage my family's portfolio of rental properties across the area, surrounding areas, Beaufort area. For that, Beaufort, Sarasota County, that's where I've lived. I am definitely in support of the overall vision of a balanced downtown with that growth that serves the taxpayers. So tonight's design proposal at 5033 West Broad would eliminate, I think what someone clarified, 14 spots right beside City Hall in the Sugar Hill Bowl area. During construction, those spaces and the surrounding lots will be impacted. To what extent? Not sure. Existing restaurants will lose customers who won't park far away, especially on Friday nights. People are practical. They're not going to fight construction just to go eat dinner, maybe enjoy a rooftop martini. That's just not going to happen. They're going to go somewhere else. In regards to the Lyric Deck, I understand the parking analysis. There's a lot of parking there, but the residents do not park behind the gate. So anytime there's an event going on in Sugar Hill, that's where you're not going to find parking. It's like extremely hard to do because most of those residents are parked below the gate in that public parking. Furthermore, millions were spent on that Lyric Deck, Sploss Roads, playgrounds, fleet upgrades, including that new boom. Let's see. Sorry, a lot of people were more well-spoken than me, and I just prepared for this. But minutes show that this is not a one-time decision. White Street was tabled multiple times for safety reasons, yet still passed 3-2. Swanee Dam Road project was tabled for traffic, daycare impacts, yet the same 3-2 majority overrides infrastructure concerns every time, it seems, based on the published meeting minutes. However, the December 2025 Venue and Events Impact Study proves that the City Commission does commission real data when it matters. Please apply that standard here. Deny this or table it until an independent study is done, specifically on the parking, traffic, and economic study, hopefully paid by whoever this is going to be building 5033. So that's all I really have. Thank you, Mayor, Page, council members.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. All right. Anybody else? Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Crystal Seal. I live at Lyric, actually. And we do park at the top, and there's plenty of parking. I actually live in the right at the top of downtown, and I think it's not crowded. I look forward to more buildings in Sugar Hill, and I'm just telling you, I live there. We have not only all the parking for the public, but also we have e-charging places that the residents pay for, and I'm not upset about it. It's a great parking place. It's safe. We even have a marshal that's always there. And there's plenty of parking in downtown, and I watch it because that's where I live. And it's a great city, and I'm looking forward to more things. And there is plenty of parking. Just lyric. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Seal. All right, is there anybody else that wishes to take advantage of this time? All right, I don't see anybody, so we're going to move on to old business. We have one item under old business, and I will recognize Mr. Newell to talk about the right-of-way dedication for White Street, Border Street.
Thank you, Mayor, and I apologize for my voice, too. This is a right-of-way acceptance for 4832 White Street, with the right-of-way being along Border Street.
And by the way, at the work session, Mr. Witten did an outstanding job. I'm just buying time here. Wow. Mr. Newell.
Sorry, trying to get this to advance.
It's okay. We've got plenty of time.
Oh, there we go, sorry. This is the survey of the property that's proposed to be dedicated. It's a relatively small amount of right-of-way, but this would allow for work as need be along border. It's just under 2,000 square feet, 0.045 acres. Here are the lots that are at the intersection of Border and White Street. Council may remember this rezoning from a few months back. Mr. Mayor, again, this is a right-of-way, and Council, this again is a right-of-way dedication along Border Street associated with the recent rezoning of RZ 25007 for a 3-lot subdivision. And as a condition of zoning, the developer is required to submit a portion of the property as right-of-way to the city for future improvements prior to the approval of the exemption plat. An approximately 10-foot wide strip along Border Street has been identified, and this will not affect the buildability of the lots. And the required front setback will be moved in accordance with the new property line. With that, Mr. Mayor and Council, the recommendation is approval of action, and then staff would commence further.
All right, I appreciate it. That was painful to listen to. Your voice is on the verge of going at any second, it sounds like. So thank you for struggling through that. We talked about this at work session, and I think there were some questions, but I'll ask if there's any additional questions tonight. Nothing has changed. And I think as Mr. Witten mentioned, this isn't right away for the entirety of that road. We're just taking an opportunity to get some right of way in parts of it. At this
Yes, sir.
point in time. So, all right, good deal. All right, any questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Perkle.
Just one question there. So it looks like we've requested and are receiving 10 feet. Where does that put us on the amount that would be required if that street were brought up to standard width? I know it's not the whole street, but just in this section. Could we put a regular 2-lane road in there? I know there's been some discussion about one direction, but I haven't heard any final opinions. I think we're consulting with Buford and schools and other things about that. Just do we think 10 feet provides what we need if that road were to stay 2-lane to get it to a standard size road, or at least enough on that one side? There may require some on the other side.
Yes,
Okay.
the last part of your comment is where I would agree with you. It's a 50-foot right-of-way requirement, so 10 on this side, and then the objective would be to get 10 more on the other side to widen to a full 2-lane road.
Thank you.
And correct me if I'm wrong, on the other side, Buford would have to acquire that right-of-way because is it in the Buford city
No,
limits?
this is Border Street, it's all
Okay.
in the city.
It's all messed up, so it's hard to know for sure.
Yeah.
Got it, okay. Appreciate it, great question. Any other questions or comments? All right, is there a motion on this item?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the right-of-way dedication for Wide Border Street.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Page. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Perkel. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, next we'll move on to new business, item number 2. And I emailed all the council members this morning. That one is not ready yet. So I would love a motion to table until I can resolve the outstanding issues with the resignation.
Mayor, I make a motion to table.
All right, I have a motion to table from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Avery. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion to table, please raise your right hand. All right, thank you. Next, we'll move on to item number 3, and that is the public hearing for the Central Business District Design Review. And before we start that item, I was wondering if I could ask Mr. Hartley to clarify what design review is. I think that question was raised by Councilmember Page during the work session, but if you wouldn't mind, we've got some new people here tonight. If you could just maybe briefly talk about what a design review is.
Mayor, in your zoning ordinance for the Central Business District and the Town Center overlay, the city council gets to serve as a design review board for the review of the design of the building. The Town Center overlay and the Central Business District give some examples of what that is. It's architectural in nature. It's the relationship to the pedestrian experience, the relationship to the vehicular experience. It's things to do with signage and building materials and things of that nature. So it's not the zoning of the property or the use of the property. It's about the look and feel of the property.
Thank you, Mr. Hartley. I just wanted to clarify that for everybody and what we'll actually be hearing tonight. And we may talk about some other things, but I think staff wants to answer some of the questions that have come up in the community about the project that don't necessarily fall within the context of design review. And so I appreciate it, Mr. Hartley. All right, next I will recognize Mr. Newell or a member of your team to present. Your choice.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Logan's going to help me out.
Like I said, Logan did a great job at our work session. Glad to have him here tonight.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, you have DRB CBD 26-002, a design review at 5033 West Broad Street. This is a location probably familiar to everyone as the asphalt strip in front of the parking deck adjacent to City Hall. The green outlined area is going to be the footprint of the building. I know there's been some discussion as to whether or not the entire deck will be taken out. The deck itself will remain, just those front parking spaces will be removed. The proposal is for a 29,000 square foot structure with restaurant and office space across its 3 floors, plus a rooftop area for a potential rooftop restaurant. A 2014 downtown core plan identified this particular site as a potential retail office building. This particular plan did identify a 1 to 2 story building. However, the scale and scope of downtown has changed since then, so 2 to 3 floors with a rooftop is still in keeping with this particular plan. So this is the building moving along West Broad Street going west. So for reference, City Hall would be on the left-hand side of the screen. This design has been vetted by the DDA as a collaborative effort between the city and its investors. It's, we feel, a traditional and timeless design in complete keeping with the Central Business District requirements. This is the other view of the building. You can see the Eagle Theater on the right side. So, of course, parking has definitely been probably on everyone's minds, certainly staff's as well. We wanted to look into it and make sure that there is sufficient parking before giving our blessing on it. And on the left is an excerpt from a independent traffic study or parking study that was conducted in 2024, I believe. On the right is a staff-conducted estimate of parking in downtown area. Both have come to the same conclusion that there is sufficient surplus parking even with the construction of this building. Primarily, that parking will be concentrated in the Lyric parking deck. That building always changes names. One thing to note, oh, maybe go back real quick. Maybe? Go back. One thing to note with the night, what looks like a deficit, there are a number of parking spaces in the Lyric parking deck that are technically timed. So staff's analysis just considered what is currently in place right now. Those spots could easily be changed to a 24-hour access situation, which would give a more reasonable number and not show a deficit. The parking spaces do exist. So let's see. What else I got here? Yeah, so overall, you know, the outdoor dining area along the streetscape is just going to be a continuation of our lovely downtown corridor, creating a nice walkable environment. You know, as planners, that's what we strive for, is the walkable environment. Try to push the cars out of the way, you know, into parking decks. People walk into downtown, walk to shops, walk to restaurants, potentially even live there. One other thing is that when we were doing the Envision 100 plan, restaurants were a significant request in that plan. I know I myself want more restaurants. Some of my friends want restaurants. I've heard restaurants from everyone. So this will definitely give us more opportunities for different restaurant spaces downtown. So with that, staff recommends approval, just with basic final conditions. Final design shall substantially resemble Exhibits 1 through 6 in your packets. And with that, I can take any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Whitten. Any questions related to material or architectural design?
I have a question on something that Logan brought up.
Okay.
This, I guess, a question for Logan or our staff. In your picture, maybe you can go back one more, another one. Yeah, there we go. So this is the plan from 2014, and the intention, correct me if I'm wrong, I know this is a 2014 plan, but City Hall was here, the parking deck was here. The intent behind when we were developing this property down here is, quote unquote, these 14 parking spots is a pad-ready site with utilities already ready to go, just was never developed originally. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so the original intent, when we built this building, this City Hall that we are currently in, there was a pad-ready site with 14 parking spots just poured over versus putting a building on top of that.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Ms. Avery?
Yes, I have a couple questions about the design. I did go over the zoning book today, and I looked at the downtown master plan for downtown, and I know, Josh, you mentioned this. Logan, you mentioned 2014. I didn't see that particular map with that building in the 2017-18 master plan, but my question is on the design, are the windows, the lower floor windows of this restaurant, are they clear glass?
I believe the intent is to be like a clear glass. I mean, hard to tell from this particular angle, you know, with the shadows and everything, but typically with a restaurant in there, you want to see in. So
All right, because I looked at as I mentioned, I looked at the zoning book, and Appendix B says that a minimum of 50% of the street-facing facades on the ground level shall be transparent through windows and doors, so I wanted to make sure about that.
Then that would be required. Then that would be required.
And I just
Yep.
couldn't tell, so I just wanted to make sure.
I don't think you can tell by a picture, but it's a requirement in our ordinances that that be the case, so they'd have to follow our ordinances.
I know.
And I will add, just part of that is to prevent a lot of signage going into windows. We also have a limit on that. We want
Right.
windows, not extra space for signs, so.
Thank you, Logan. Also, the other question, I know with the zoning, the building height is allowed under the current zoning, but I just wanted to say that it seems a little bit too high as well as too large overall, which could give the appearance of looking congested, being that there's there's buildings in close proximity. And concerning the 29,000 square feet, about the size of the building, which I believe falls under the design, so concerning the size, the 29,000 square feet, as I've mentioned, I believe that seems a little bit large for the footprint. And at the work session, we were informed that the building is an extensive and collaborative effort between the city and the developers. So I'm wondering if at any time during that discussion was a smaller size, for example, 15,000 to 18,000 proposed, and if so, how did it change to the current proposed size?
Sure. I will answer the question I can answer, and then I will look over at Paul and Troy to answer other questions. As far as the size of the building itself, if I'm recalling correctly, within the central business district, there is a limit on single tenant buildings not to exceed 30,000 square feet. Now, this is a multi-tenant building, so it wouldn't fall under those same requirements. Actually, I think this would probably be one of the smallest, if not the smallest, mixed-use building in the downtown area. So size-wise, it meets our requirements. Just from an amateur architectural analysis from myself, it is proportioned correctly. It does meet our requirements that City Council did instate a year or two ago about having the setback facade over the third floor. So 1, 2, 3 with the setback. So I can address those, and then all other questions I'll.
Mr. Radford, you're welcome to answer if you want to.
I will attempt to answer the question. I think the process was and is that the DDA, in its unique position of being charged to help with our downtown and to build and to be your filter for downtown. The site is strategic. It is. It sits in the middle of our downtown, and it adds to the experience of the streetscape. And obviously, the investor is looking to maximize the space that they would be purchasing for the building and for the investment. And we want the buildings to be pushed forward up to the street. And I think the site maximizes that particular pad, which was about a little over 6,000 square feet. 43,000 something is an acre. So it's a small site to begin with, and but there was deliberation and consultation between the DDA and the investor in terms of trying to fulfill what the community wanted, which was additional restaurant and entertainment spaces downtown, and this one delivers that. It delivers 2 eating establishments on West Broad, and then there'll be a rooftop restaurant as well. So it is, and that requires space, that requires the maximum use of the pad itself. So we didn't look at making it smaller or bigger. 29,000 seems like a lot, but it is 6,000 square feet per floor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just have one more question.
Yes, ma'am.
Logan, I looked at the staff report that was sent to the council, and I just have this question. Does the design meet the goals and objectives as the city, as stated in the letter of intent, which said, which the developer has said, this design meets the goals and objectives given to me by the city? But those goals and objectives were not listed in the staff report. The staff report does not say specifically that this design meets the goals and objectives that we gave to the developer, since he says that in the letter of intent. So I would like to know from you a verbal clarification that yes, it does meet the goals and objectives of the city, because I never saw those goals and objectives that the city gave to the developer.
Sure. I will say we don't typically outline those goals. We just have our standard questions that we answer at the bottom of the staff report. But in a short answer, yes, it does meet the city's goals and intent with the zoning ordinance.
Right, so there is a list of those goals and objectives.
There's a certain criteria of questions that we look at for design review. Those are all those like 1 through 6, I think, at the bottom of your staff report, where it's like, does the design make sense? You know, paraphrasing. But and then we'll say typically yes. We usually just say yes unless it's egregiously in conflict with our requirements. Then we'll go into a lot more detail with the no's. Otherwise, we just stick with yes, it does.
The last thing, as far as the design for the building, the letter of intent and the staff report refers to this building is for retail, but it is not for retail. Are you referring to restaurants when you say retail?
Restaurants and retail are both permitted uses by right within the Central Business District. It's been my understanding that it's primarily going to be restaurant space, but there is the option for it to be retail space.
Thank you very much, Logan. Thank you, Mayor. That ends my questions
All
and
right.
comments.
Appreciate it. Any other questions or comments before I open up the public hearing? All right, I don't see any, so we will go and do the public hearing, public comment portion of this item, and I'll describe it like I always do. We start with the first 10 minutes for the proponents, and that typically includes the applicant. And then we'll finish that out, and we'll move on to 10 minutes shared for any individuals that wish to speak in opposition to or express concern about the proposal. And I just, again, want to focus y'all on what this is for. This is a design review, and it is related to materials and architectural design. And so that's what we're going to be having the hearing on. We will start the first 10 minutes for those that wish to speak in support. And I think that might be the applicant. So if you could come forward, just give us your names, who you're with, and your address.
Yep. I'm Dan Cipriani with Market District Properties in Sugar Hill, LLC, along with Dr. Curtis Fedorchuk. Eric Richards was not able to join us tonight. But there were 3 things that the community had asked us for delivered at once. The dining, entertainment, and office space. All 3 were in high demand, all 3 underserved in the community. The Belt Buckle is the only project on the horizon that will deliver to all 3 of these simultaneously at the most central location in downtown Sugar Hill. These are not speculative amenities. They are documented community needs, confirmed by the city's open planning documents, marking conditions, and the straightforward fact that Sugar Hill residents currently drive elsewhere for all 3. A couple of notes here. Based on the 2014 plan explicitly showing the building on the parking lot, they identified this corridor for mixed use, and planning has pointed to the site for 18-plus years. We're delivering dining, entertainment, office space on the 2 ground floor restaurant suites. We're planning on full-service upscale and cafe concept. They're both in active lease negotiations. We're considering a higher price point, broadening the competitive landscape without cannibalizing the existing options. We have 12-plus active restaurateur relationships. On the entertainment sector, while we were evaluating the property, we realized that the building pad was not pad ready. The soils there were subservient, so we had to look at different options. So that was at the point where we considered the speakeasy concept on the terrace level. We are considering a well-known Atlanta multi-location operator in the area. We have some active lease discussions going right now. In that area, we're considering hidden entrances along an uncovered stair, think Cheers-like, down the right side, and a potential concealed parking deck access off the backside. This entertainment option would offer live entertainment, possibly 5 nights a week. In addition, it would start to serve some of the historic needs of Sugar Hill. As we all know, Sugar Hill got its name with the cart that turned over with 100 pounds of sugar. There's some speculation on whether or not it was the courts in the area, but they said that some of those 100 pounds of sugar was a suspicious quantity, and so the speakeasy concept in the terrace level speaks well to that. Additionally, with that proponent that we're looking at for the entertainment district and the terrace level, there is a potential for duck pin bowling alley, which also ties to the history of Sugar Hill. I think it was Gladstone Valley, back in just post-World War II, had some duck pin alleys, so we thought that that was also fitting with the community, adding to the entertainment. Additionally, the community would requested additional office space. The second and the third floor would continue, adding 3 to 4 potential tenants. It could be 2 single tenants as well, adding anywhere from 60 to 120 jobs for the community. Additionally, we feel that the building is going to generate property taxes and sales taxes in the community. 32,000 square feet, and we believe the impact on the parking is going to be overall of about 2%. To speak on terms of the design, I wanted to offer David Riddle up.
I've got a favor, y'all. I recognize people to come up to speak, and that just maintains order in the meeting. And so if you'd like to, you make the request to me, the presiding officer, if someone else would like to come up, and I appreciate y'all following those protocols.
Sure.
Yep. And I'm a friendly here, so I'm friendly to everybody, but I want to make sure that we just run the meeting in the way that it needs to be run, okay?
My apologies.
So if you've got someone else that'd like to come up, they're welcome to come up.
Okay. All right.
Would you like us to sit down?
You don't have to sit down. You can be there with them if you want to, but it's your choice. But if you could, just give your name and address for the record. That's required in our ordinances, and I hate to ask for it, but I have to. And we're thankful y'all are here.
Good evening. My name is David Riddle. I'm an architect, a historic preservationist, and also an Eagle Scout from Troop 266. I reside at 1481 Hodges Mill Road in Watkinsville, and I'd like to try and describe the look and feel of this building. And I think the building style is best described as contemporary urban infill with the traditional commercial vernacular influences. It anchors the street corner and blends into the surrounding urban fabric. Its 3-story massing recalls the proportions of early 20th century commercial blocks, yet it's definitely modern with clean lines, crisp detailing, and the facade that balances solidness, the upper floors, with openness and transparentness, the street level. And so the corner condition is handled with intention, and the building turns the intersection with a strong vertical edge using stacked balconies and tall window bays to emphasize the height without feeling imposing. And the ground floor is fully engaged with the public realm, the large storefront glazing, the deep shadow lines at the canopy, and outdoor seating that spills onto the sidewalk. And so this is a building that wants to participate in street life. So the materials are primarily brick, which is warm and rooted in tradition. It has a uniform color, and the facade with a disciplined rhythm with the black metal trim that introduces the contemporary feel. And the balconies punctuate the facade with their railings. And the windows and doors and proportions are tall and evenly spaced, creating a vertical cadence that elongates the facade, and the black frames sharpen those openings. And the repetition of the bays across all three levels kind of create a sense of order, while the balconies add subtle variation and human scale. So the ground floor, the storefront, provides flexibility for cafe and restaurant, and the design has generous glazing and a facade that invites transparency. The outdoor tables animate the sidewalk, and they help blur the boundary between the private enterprise and the public space. So the building has a sense of enclosure without feeling heavy, and the corner becomes very important. And so hopefully people will gather and linger and pass by, an indication that the architecture is really doing its job to integrate the building into everyday life.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for focusing on the design. Any questions of the applicants before they, Ms. Piovison? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'm sorry, gentleman in the white shirt, I've already forgotten your name.
Daniel Cipriani.
Daniel, thank you. You said earlier 32,000 square feet. Can you please clarify? Is it 32 or is it 29?
32,406, but that's including the outdoor patio spaces. So we have 62 on the terrace level, 65 on the ground floor, 2 and 3, and then 3267 at the rooftop.
Got it. So that's inclusive of the rooftop, which is.
Correct.
Got it. And which wouldn't impact the size or the
footprint.
extent. Perfect. Thank you.
The footprint's 65.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right, anybody else got a question of the applicant? Well, we've got them up here. All right, appreciate y'all. I'm going to ask Mr. Hartley how much time we have left, and y'all welcome to be seated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 minutes and 14 seconds.
All right, is there anybody else that would like to speak in this segment of time? Yes. Thank you for being here. You know what you need to do when you get up there.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members. My name is Mason Rosal. My family and I live at 5007 Oak Grove Drive, Sugar Hill, Georgia. And that is, for the context of everyone else, that's walking distance to downtown. I, along with 6 other awesome community members, make up our fully volunteer Sugar Hill Downtown Development Authority. I've had the honor of being a member of the board for 7 years, and I currently serve as our chairman. Our role, simply put, is to serve the community members and work to steward the downtown area and bring the best to our community. Design review is a very important part of the development process, as it's the opportunity for us to collectively hold developers to a high standard and ensure that what comes to Sugar Hill not only fills a gap in use, but it also adds value and is built to last. Design review ensures projects like this become places we're proud to show off and represents the high bar that was set years ago in Sugar Hill. This small piece of property has been planned and zoned for mixed use commercial development for well over 10 years. So personally, I'm excited that we've arrived at the design review phase for this project. I strongly support the design of this project as it transforms an already developed piece of property, not green space, which currently has a single use, into a statement piece in our downtown. A building that should stand the test of time and connect our downtown commercial districts that are currently broken up into 2 separate segments. Think of the E-Center and then the Lyric. And this will, as it's kind of been referenced as the belt buckle that connects the two. If you were to grab a postcard, and I did here at City Hall of Sugar Hill in the future, I would hope that this building would be on it. I think design matters a lot, and I think the developers have spent a lot of time trying to bring quality materials and architecture into the downtown. The project uses a lot of creative design to take a very small footprint and transform it into a mixed-use project with value to the whole community, with every square foot being utilized for public benefit. And we don't always get that with mixed-use projects, so I think that's important to call out. As a DDA made up entirely of community members, we're constantly being asked by the broader community for more restaurants, for more retail, as well as being approached by a lot of local small business owners and entrepreneurs in Sugar Hill who really want to have their offices downtown. But unfortunately, with the lack of space today, they can't do that, and they don't want to have to go to Suwanee or Buford as their offices grow. Parking as a priority from a design standpoint reinforces the idea that far too many communities have embraced that parking is what makes a great downtown. While there's good intention behind this school of thought, this is a miss from a design standpoint as it ultimately prioritizes cars over people. You don't have to go far in the suburbs to find worn-out retail and commercial developments with a surplus of parking and a shortage of people. As a DDA, we strive to give our community reasons to come downtown and linger across all ages and all hours of the day. The design of this project helps connect our downtown and continues to provide a safe and engaging pedestrian experience for our community to safely interact with the project and streetscape. The fact that parking is a concern is actually encouraging to me because it reinforces the idea that downtown is desirable and our community wants to spend time down here. And fortunately, based on the analysis of parking, we can have both. Thank you, Council, for supporting projects like this for our community. I encourage you to continue to set a high bar from a design standpoint so that we can look back and know that we stewarded this season of Sugar Hill well. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Rosal. And I think that means that the time just ran out, so we have moved on past those 10 minutes. All right, now I will start the 10 minutes for those that might wish to express concern or speak in opposition, again, to the materials or the architectural design of the project. Is there anybody here that wishes to take advantage of that time? And I know that you came up before, but please just give your name and address for the record.
Mark Daniels, 5872 Sycamore Ridge Drive. I know we like to pretend that design reviews happen in a bubble and that we're just looking at the design of the building. We have to take into account that there is an impact once this building goes into place. So the parking on that deck is going to be taken up by either employees that are in this building, and we said there were going to be 60 to 120 employees in the building.
We actually, I'm going to stop you there because you're deviating from the materials and architectural design.
Yeah.
And let me explain why you're deviating.
That are going into this building will impact the parking spaces on that deck.
That's a very loose interpretation of
consider
Mr.
reserving
Daniels,
parking spaces on that deck for people using the city hall and not have city employees parking on that deck.
We actually talked about this at work session and you weren't here.
I wasn't.
And so we're going to stop the time here for a minute. I'm going to comment on the parking, even though the parking is not a part of the hearing, right? So.
Oh, okay. Well, they got to talk about parking and employees and stuff like that, so I figured I got to as well.
All right. I'll tell you what, you go ahead and just go on and sit down.
Appreciate you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right. If anybody wants to come up and talk about the materials and design, this is a design review, you're welcome to do so. All right, I see nobody that wants to talk about those items, which is the purpose of design review. So we're going to close out the 10 minutes for that period. All right, any questions or comments from City Council before I ask if there is a motion? Yes, Mr. Perkle.
Thank you, Mayor. I think the building in itself doesn't look bad. I'd be happy to see it in other areas of downtown. I think for where we're discussing it, it's too large and overbearing. The setback from the pictures that were shown appeared to be smaller than anywhere else on Broad Street, and assuming that did not even take into account the part they would remove from the right-of-way there for the outdoor seating. Again, the density seems too great. It's going to appear to be a wall right there downtown. Parking deck access was mentioned. I also don't think that should be allowed. Again, in reference to the 60 to 120 jobs, if that indeed were the case, that would certainly overwhelm the decks there. So I just don't feel it's appropriate for that area, but I'm not opposed to the concept overall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Perkle. Anybody else? Ms. Avery?
I just have one question. Is the basement still a possibility? Because I kind of got the feeling that maybe the parking pad wasn't quite, I just wondered.
Ms. Avery, we're out of public hearing, but if you want to address that to a staff member, you're welcome to do so.
I'm not going to continue this, Brennan. You did this at work session. You're not going to quiet her again here. I want the whole place to see this. He did this at work session about a design and a genre, and he's going to do it again here.
If you want to, we have an ordinance against disrupting a meeting, and if you want to continue, then I will ask the city manager through our marshal and the Gwinnett County Police Department to escort you out. We have a structure for a reason. This is a design review hearing, and it's very specific, the items that we consider in a design review. We talked about parking at the work session. You were here, and I'm not sure if you paid attention to it or not, but we talked about parking. We talked about the fact that in this budget that we just approved, that there's $5.5 million for additional parking over the next several years. We also talked about the fact that currently during the daytime, the lot is mostly filled with employees, and that we are working on employee parking elsewhere so that the limited parking that we have here can be available to every resident versus employees taking up the parking. We also talked about signage for time-limited parking on the leftover parking so that people aren't parking and going out to eat, but they're actually coming here and they're going to the post office or to get a passport. And so we talked about all of that. Parking is not part of design review, but we have considered all of that. And so we're moving on. I'm the presiding officer, and Meg had a question that she was about to direct to the applicant, and we are past the public hearing. And so my statement to her, I thought it was polite. I'm sorry, Meg, I meant to be polite, but I just ask if you would just refer that to staff to answer. And I'm sorry if that concerns you or not, but I'm just following the process that I have to follow as a mayor. Got it? All right. Would you like to ask the question of staff, Ms. Avery?
I would, thank you. Is the basement still going to be a part of this design?
I believe that's my understanding, yes, ma'am. Is that, I don't know if that's
Yes, that's my
Yeah,
understanding.
it is.
All right, any other questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Page.
Question, I would be remiss to, I guess, not share the sentiment that Councilmember Perkle has regarding the density and the overall size about the building, but I guess I just have a question of staff of the current building as is right now. I'm assuming this is allowable under what it is currently zoned as, that parcel, is that correct? So we're within the guidelines, there's no variances being asked of the city at this point. We are 100% within the guidelines of what it's zoned as.
That's correct, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Page. Yes, Ms. Avery.
Thank you very much. I was reviewing, I had mentioned the zoning book, and I'm looking at that again tonight. So before we go into the motion, I just want to review to make sure, Ardakis, I have this correct, because it says on the zoning ordinance, in granting a design review approval, the council may impose such requirements and conditions with respect to the location, construction, maintenance, and operation of any use or building in addition to those expressly set forth herein, as may be deemed necessary for the protection of adjacent properties and the public interest. So that would go along if we did any conditions. And I looked at the criteria. It says the council shall consider the appropriateness of the design of any building or the proposed material in the context of the following: consistency with any adopted design guidelines, the nature and character of the surrounding areas, and the consistency and compatibility of the proposed application with such nature and character, the general design, character and appropriateness of design, scale of building, arrangement, texture, material, and color of the structure in question, and the relation of such elements to similar features in the immediate surrounding area, site, and landscaping. In the picture, Artegas, it seems like there is more landscaping and trees than what we currently see outside. So I'm guessing we can discuss the landscaping because of the zoning, correct?
I think the short answer to your question would be yes. Answer to your question would be yes.
So there is landscaping along with all of this?
I'm sorry, are you asking if landscaping is,
Has that been discussed? Just
for this particular project?
yes or no?
I don't know if we've,
Yes, landscaping has been discussed, not 100% finalized yet, but the overall goal will be to have the outdoor patio area with some sort of separation. Ideally, that would be a landscape separation there. Potential for some other little spots just to kind of green up and beautify that aren't quite shown in these pictures because these are just renderings, not indicative of the final product in its entirety, but I would say, 95% there, so.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. All right, anybody else got any comments, questions? Yes, Mr. Page.
Thank you, Mayor. Question to staff. On page 6 of our packet, I'm not sure if you have it in your presentation here. It is the overall site plan looking over at the parking lot. This one right here, page 6 in our packet.
Yep.
I'm assuming the red square is actually where the building footprint.
Correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, what's not shown is whatever we want to call it, the parapets or the brick knee walls, the location of those in relation to, sidewalk utilization, how that's going to impact our right-of-way, pedestrian access. That is something that I don't believe we talked about last week. So I'm not sure, do we have something that shows that?
Our office does not, because I think it is still being finalized. Pretty much the width of the sidewalk plus maybe a foot or so is going to be your kind of pedestrian throughway. Within that area would be the seating area, the separation, and then just a straight through for pedestrian.
Okay, so
If that makes sense.
so planning and zoning does not currently have a plan for the parapet or the brick knee wall that is in the picture that we're approving for the DRB tonight. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
We don't typically have those. We don't typically have the engineered drawings at this phase, but.
Okay, cool. I'm being technical here.
Sure.
If council tonight is going to be reviewing a DRB, my interpretation is that we should know how that should be affecting our sidewalks.
Okay.
Maybe I'm incorrect, but please, peers, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like we need to have all the information. Whether DDA had that information, I'm not sure. I'm feeling like if your office doesn't have it, I'm assuming that the DDA doesn't have it. But I feel like we need to have that information. So, at this point, I feel like this is an incomplete kind of application coming to us. Peers, correct me if I'm wrong, so.
I don't vote on these items, but there was a question about the sidewalk. The sidewalk doesn't change. The sidewalk stays exactly the same as it is. It's 12 foot. That does not change.
Correct.
Yeah.
We're talking about in their photos or in their renderings, they're suggesting that there's going to be a brick parapet or something along our sidewalks, I'm assuming our sidewalks, the city sidewalks. So we don't know how far or whatever that's going to look like. That's what I'm...
It would be up to the edge of the sidewalk. Plus, he said about a foot or more. So you're going to have the 12-foot sidewalk. You're going to have another foot, and then you're going to have the brick parapet that protects the folks in the restaurants. And then when you, in the language in here, it says that it has to be like the rendering that is shown.
Something that is also an option, you could place an additional condition with regard just to specifically require things like that. That is within the purview of council to add additional conditions.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Does everybody have clarification on all of the things that they need to have clarification on? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to deny.
I have a motion to deny. Is there a second? I have a second from Ms. Avery. Any discussion before I call the vote on that? All right, all those in favor of denying, please raise your right hand. All right, that motion fails. All those, I think I need to ask all those opposed to the motion, please raise your right hand. Anytime there's a motion to deny, it always throws me off. All right, is there a substitute motion?
Mayor, I'll make a motion to table this DRB to, our May city council meeting, and I think that should give our staff plenty of time to get lots of questions answered.
I have a motion to table from Mr. Page. Is there a second? Let's have a second from Mr. Perkle. All right, any discussion before I call the vote on that motion? All right, all those in favor of tabling, please raise your right hand. All right, great. We'll move on now to item number 4, and that is the contract award 26-001, and that's for road repairs and resurfacing. And I'll just make a comment about this. Because we've had the hearing tonight, we will not have another hearing on this item, so this will just be for us to decide in May. And I'll recognize Mr. Basesh for number 4.
Thank you, Mayor. In 2025, we submitted a number of streets for funding through the Local Maintenance Improvement Grant Program for roadway repairs and resurfacing. That's funded partially through state funds and that grant program. We propose these 14 streets for repairs. They are in the Laurel Springs neighborhood, Sycamore Summit neighborhood, and the Oaks at Lanier. We prepared the bid documents for those in-house, advertised them in accordance with requirements for projects of that type. The original scope was listed as these 14 streets with various types of repair on these 3.2 miles of street. We received 17 bids. 12 of them were under the engineering estimate of $983. The results are as follows, with Allied being the low bidder at $847,122.50. And then you see the other bids there. Those top 12 were under that estimate. The last 5 were above it. Since the bids were received in the form of unit price contract structure, we did propose adding some additional streets once the state approved an amended budget for 2026. that authorizes additional funding for roadway repairs. The 26 amended budget proposes an additional $327,957.82 of additional funding. So we look for other candidate roads to be proposed for this scope of work. These were presented at the work session, and there was a recommended change to the scope to include the full length of Starflower Lane. And so that has been added to the scope. So it includes 9 streets. Not all of them have arrows, so don't get caught up in that. But they include Henry Bailey, which is a low-scoring road with a PCI rating of 27. Snowbell Court, also in Arbor Clause, has a 19. Starflower averages 40. We are proposing to tackle some of the lower-scoring roads to raise our average up, including Sunset, which is in the middle of the screen there to the right here, and then also Old Spring Way. Commerce Court is also one of the lower scoring roads with a rating of 24, and then we've got some roads off of Westbrook and Westbrook Commons that score very low as well, below 40. So the average rating for these 9 roads is 32. It would bring the contract total up, according to the unit prices provided by Allied, up to just under $1.3 million. And so staff has reviewed this list and is recommending adding the additional 1.64 miles to the original scope and submit these roads for approval by Georgia DOT, and also to add them to the contract to Allied Paving, and just to back it up one step further, to award the contract for project 26-001 to Allied Paving in the original amount, but add these streets to that list, taking the contract total up to $1.3 million.
Thank you, Mr. Basesh. Any questions? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to approve the list.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Perkel. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Piovison. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand.
Mayor, I think we need a motion broader than to just approve the list. I think we also need a motion to approve the award of the contract to Allied Paving. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I will recognize Mr. Perkel again too.
I will amend the motion to include the awarding the contract. I felt it was implied, but I'm certainly happy to modify that to meet our attorney's request.
Absolutely. I thought it was implied as well. Thank you, Mr. Perkel. I have a motion from Mr. Perkel, second from Ms. Piovison. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. Okay. All right, next we'll move on to item number 5, and that is another contract award. Mr. Basesh, you're up again on that one.
All right, thank you. I was going to belabor the topic a little bit further and say we're paving about 6% of our roads per year. And so this is the graph that goes along with that. I'll tell you more when we submit again, give you an update on that. Here are some roads that are in the 40 and below category on the left. And then on the right, there are smaller segments of roadway that we evaluate. So that's the dots on the right. Can't really see much, so I'm going to skip on to this agenda item and come back to that at a later date. This item is to award a construction contract for project 26-004 to Summit Construction and Development LLC for the parking lot expansion at Ridge Lake Park in the amount of $939,388.89. This will add 97 additional parking spaces and provide for the additional amenities we're adding to the park, as we discussed in the presentation earlier, with a new playground, a new pavilion, and new fishing infrastructure and additions to the park. We did prepare the bid documents for this, and we did receive 5 responses. They were evaluated based on experience and qualifications with a short list of 3. Those 3 were Summit, Lanyap, and Hasbin. And the fee totals are included in the staff memo. Staff reviewed all of the qualifications, but felt Summit provided the best plan for executing the project and delivering a successful parking lot paver parking lot project, which they do in-house. So staff is recommending approval of the contract to Summit in that amount. I will say before I conclude, there were a couple questions at the work session, so I've included an additional page with information about the clearance between the new parking area and the street. So I would just recommend that we will add some fencing once we conclude the parking contract, just under a separate contract.
Thank you, Mr. Basesh. Any questions about this? All right, could you go back to the page where it maybe like states the motion, and then that way we have a little bit of a cheat sheet?
I wish I had prepared it for you, but it is right here if someone wants to take it.
I think somebody has the e-packet up and they can look at it. All right. Yeah, absolutely, Ms. Avery.
On the motion, it mentions a specific amount for this contract, but you also just mentioned that there will be fencing. So would that add to the final separate contract? All right, just.
Got it. All right, any other questions? All right, is there a motion?
Mayor, I make a motion to authorize the mayor to approve a contract with Summit Construction and Development, LLC, for the parking lot expansion at the park in the amount of $939,398.89.
All right, I have a motion from Mr. Hicks. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Page. Any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the vote, the motion, please raise your right hand. Thank you. All right, next we'll move on to item number 6, and I see that staff has requested that we table that.
Yes, that's
tonight.
correct.
All right, is there a motion to table that item? Have a motion to table from Ms. Avery. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Piovison. All right, any discussion before I call the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion to table, please raise your right hand. Okay. Next, we'll move on to property dedication for Oak Street. Mr. Basesh.
Okay. I presented a brief overview at the work session of the developer is essentially ready to dedicate the 2.1 acres near the commercial component of the Novair project to the city. They are at the end of their permitting phase where they have designed some stormwater improvements to the 2 acres that the city will participate in for the purpose of providing stormwater management for any park improvements on the balance of the 2 acres. So that has been included. There is an agreement that I circulated earlier, which outlines easement rights and responsibilities for the 2 parties, the city and the developer or owner, in the case of the agreement. We have been through 1 round of review comments, but I would still say that the agreement is in draft final form. I have provided a recommended motion to include the terms subject to final legal review. I think Frank and the owner's attorney probably need to clarify 1 or 2 items in there, but they're not substantial, and I don't want to say they're not substantial if Frank doesn't agree. However, I don't think they're consequential. This does establish the fact that the city will be responsible for maintaining the pond. And the reason that I'm recommending that the city be responsible for maintaining the pond is we control to what standard and quality the pond gets maintained. because it's next to a potential park construction. So I think it's important to maintain it at our standard and at our level, and then bill the developer for their share of it. I looked at the hydrology study, which was provided in I think the last page of the agreement, and just by rough calculation, it's 80% developer responsibility and 20% city responsibility. So given the estimate that Joe Appling provided me of some $4,000 a year of maintenance activities, you can do the math on that, but $500,000, something like that, would be our share of that.
All right, thank you for the report. Any questions of Mr. Bisesh? Yes, Mr. Perkle.
Thank you, Mayor. So we discussed the pond a little bit at the work session, and you just discussed maintenance costs for the pond. What about construction cost for the pond? Is any of that borne by the developer? All by the developer, none by the city?
None by the city.
Okay, and is that written in the contract?
That is not in that contract, but it is part of the plans that we are permitting through planning and zoning, so the developer will be responsible for building this pond according to that permitting arrangement.
Okay, and we consider that as good as a contract then?
It was a condition, it was a condition of rezoning, I
I
believe.
can include it in the agreement if that is worth including to you.
I think it doesn't hurt anything to protect us there. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? All right, Mr. Hartley, when we make a motion, do we need to incorporate Mr. Perkle's request in that motion?
I think you can incorporate it specifically, or you can just depend on the language subject to final legal review so that we will make sure it's in there before we sign off on it. Or I will make sure it's in there before I sign off on it.
Mr. Perkle, you good with that? All right, any other questions or comments about this item? All right, is there a motion? Okay. Ms. Piovesan?
Thank you, Mayor.
I know why you want to make the motion. Got it.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the mayor to sign the deed of dedication for approximately 2 acres of land to be used for green space, parks, and stormwater purposes, subject to final legal review.
I have a motion from Ms. Piovesan. Is there a second? Second from, second from Mr. Hicks. All right, any discussion before I call for the vote? All right, all those in favor of the motion, please raise your right hand. All right, so we have finished the agenda, and there was an indication that we needed to go to executive session, and I think that we do. Is there a motion to go to executive session?
Mayor, I motion to proceed to executive session.
All right, I have a motion from Ms. Piovesan. Is there a second? Second from Mr. Hicks. All right, all those in favor of going into executive session, please raise your right hand. All right, we will go to executive session. We won't have anything to take action on when we come back out, but we will come back and adjourn our city council meeting before we leave tonight. All right, let's head back. We've got everybody back. We are back from executive session. We discussed 3 real estate matters, but we have no action to take outside of executive session, and so I will entertain a motion to adjourn our April city council meeting.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adjourn our April 13th city council meeting.
Have a motion from Mr. Page. Is there a second? Second from Ms. Piovesan. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Okay. We are adjourned.